Sadly, Dead by Daylight is not a horror game anymore. And back in the day, it was a horror game, but the sad reality is that whenever a game gets popular enough, developers use the popularity to milk some money out of our pockets. And they try to milk our money even if it comes at a cost of destroying the game's identity. A perfect example of that would be PUBG. Once it was the most realistic military battle royale game out there, and when the game got very popular, they added this into the game. That's right. From military simulator to masturbating stimulator. God, I hate gaming industry in 2024. Like, how is this game so popular? You just click on a banana, what the fuck? Okay, I'm starting to enjoy it. I'm really enjoying it. Oh, yeah, daddy. Oh, yeah, daddy. Yeah, daddy. Yeah. But speaking of Dead by Daylight, yes, the game has kind of lost its identity, but maybe it's not as bad as most of you think. So let's talk about it. But before that, watch this.
Hey, stop! Why? I just don't get it. I always catch you fuckers watching this sick shit. This is sickening.
Got your blood clot, man.
This man is right. Stop looking at those disgusting SpongeBob feet pics.
Stop it. Get some help.
And
Bam.
I can help you. Start watching BoyDilly instead. I make Dead by Daylight videos and I got a very big cock. Also, look at this beautiful dog. Yeah, he's dead now. But anyway, don't forget to subscribe to my channel to make me a happy little boy. Also, you can become my supporter by clicking that jingly wingly join button. I will play Dead by Daylight with you, you will get an exclusive Discord role, and you will get to see some exclusive secret videos. Join now and satisfy your inner needs. Anyway, let's get straight into the video. Okay, so I got into Dead by Daylight back in June of 2018, so it's been almost exactly 6 years since I started playing this stupid game. I will never forget stealing my mom's credit card to purchase this game, but truly I love this game very much and I love to be a part of Dead by Daylight. When I got into this game was scary as shit and I was honestly afraid to play Survivor. But even though I got into this game 6 years ago, which technically makes me a grandpa, this game has been around since 2016. So even though I got into this game a while ago, I still missed on those early days of Dead by Daylight. And trust me, back in those days, Dead by Daylight was extremely serious about horror. The name of the game itself indicates that back in the day there was absolutely no plans for this game to have a daylight themed maps. This game was supposed to be extremely dark and foggy, and daylight should have never even existed in this game. And the first map and killer in Dead by Daylight set a tone for this dark gameplay loop. You can see gameplay of Dead by Daylight's alpha version on your screen right now, and you can see how dark, foggy and intense these matches used to be. Back in those days, the Trapper really had his place in Dead by Daylight, and even though nowadays the Trapper is considered to be the weakest, or at least one of the weakest killers in Dead by Daylight, back in the day he was one of the best killers in DBD, because this game was extremely dark and you didn't have to bring any offerings to make this game foggy. In fact, there was no such offering yet. And not only was every map dark and foggy, but also every map had grass, so the Trapper could easily place his traps, and survivors were seriously seriously afraid of this killer. And this game wasn't just scary back in the beta or alpha days. This game was scary for quite a while. Michael Myers was the first licensed character in Dead by Daylight. And keep in mind that back in the day, this game was an indie game. This game wasn't huge and it wasn't developed by many people. So for a small group of developers to get Michael Myers into the game, and Michael Myers is one of the most iconic horror characters, it's huge, almost like my cock. And you can argue that back in the day Haddonfield was the worst map in Dead by Daylight. Gameplay wise, yes, but in terms of horror, it was an amazing addition to the game. And gameplay wise, in my opinion, Michael Myers is still the scariest killer to ever be introduced into Dead by Daylight. Especially for beginners, to get to play against Michael Myers, it feels extremely scary, and Dead by Daylight was supposed to be this scary and creepy game. And I understand that Dead by Daylight was made to be this very replayable game, and you cannot replay a horror game again and again and still get scared, because horror is all about the unexpected situations. So this game was bound to become a not scary game for more advanced players someday anyway. But developers tried to keep this game as scary as possible for everybody by introducing really creepy characters and really creepy maps. We got the Hag, the Doctor, the Huntress, then we got the Cannibal himself, and even Freddy Krueger. If you ask me, all of these killers had scary elements and they are extremely good addition to Dead by Daylight. Technically, Dead by Daylight developers introduced a lighter atmosphere into the game with the Coldwind Farm map, but this map felt extremely claustrophobic, especially running through these huge grass fields, and I think that in terms of horror, this map fit Dead by Daylight very well. I think that this game had its place in the horror world until the Legion was introduced into the game. That was around the time when I started playing Dead by Daylight, and honestly, even though I love the Legion and I mained him and I'm happy that he's in the game, I don't think that Legion really fits the atmosphere of Dead by Daylight. He just doesn't feel like he belongs in a horror game. It's more like he belongs in some sort of a serial killer kind of a game than Dead by Daylight. Also, the Legion brought Ormond map into the game, which was back in the day the brightest map yet, and this map, technically you can say that this map has daylight. It is not as dark as many maps that came before it, and this is where Dead by Daylight started to kind of become more than a horror game. However, this was not the first time developers started to break their initial plans for Dead by Daylight. For example, when the Doctor was released, we got the first indoor map with practically no grass. So the Trapper had his first difficulties while playing on this map. This was the first map which was actually difficult to play for the Trapper. And I think that either the release of the Doctor or the Legion was a moment where developers thought, fuck it, let's go beyond horror. And don't get me wrong, Dead by Daylight will always be a horror game in a nutshell. That will not change even if Johnny Sins gets introduced into the game. This game is a slasher game at its core, and slasher is a horror genre. So even though this game is not as scary as it once was, this is technically still a horror game, but it has shifted away from what it was supposed to be initially. For example, no character in Dead by Daylight was supposed to speak, because it kinda breaks the immersion in a horror game like Dead by Daylight. But Ash Williams was the first survivor who spoke in Dead by Daylight, and he cracked some really funny jokes. But at least Ash Williams was a horror character, unlike Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage came into Dead by Daylight like a meme. He is not even a character, he's an actor, and he has absolutely nothing to do with horror, as far as I understand. So developers definitely decided to go beyond horror with introducing this character, and they made Nicolas Cage's perks extremely cringy. And it's not a bad thing, I actually love the perks of Nicolas Cage, but sometimes I'm thinking, what has Dead by Daylight become? The Dungeons and Dragons chapter with Vecna is not even a horror-related chapter either, and neither is the Stranger Things, but I'm not complaining here because I'm a huge fan of Stranger Things. However, Dead by Daylight has expanded its roster with a bunch of non-horror characters, a bunch of funny characters, scientific characters, and even action-related characters. Because as of me making this video right now, the latest chapter in Dead by Daylight is the Tomb Raider chapter with Lara Croft, and honestly, nobody asked for Lara Croft to be introduced into Dead by Daylight. It was a pretty unexpected addition to the game, besides the leaks, because this character was leaked before, but if not the leaks, nobody would have predicted that Lara Croft would be coming into Dead by Daylight. I know that there are people who love all of these crazy and weird additions for Dead by Daylight, and there are people who are extremely into horror and they are disappointed of what Dead by Daylight has become today. As a person who loves scary movies, that's my favorite genre, I would love for Dead by Daylight to shift back into being a scary game, but I think that after Dead by Daylight has become a very popular game, developers decided to expand this game beyond horror just to get some more money by selling all of these crazy licenses, such as Lara Croft and Nicolas Cage. So to clarify, I'm not saying that this is a bad thing, but I'm not saying that this is a good thing either. What I'm saying is that Dead by Daylight has drastically shifted from what it was supposed to be initially. Also, a couple things that I forgot to mention is that the Trickster, in my opinion, has no place in Dead by Daylight, neither has the School Merchant. These killers have absolutely nothing to do with horror, especially the K-pop star, the Trickster. And these map reworks that are happening in Dead by Daylight, they actually make these maps less scary than ever before. For some reason, developers decided to boost the lighting on most of the maps, and even Macmillan Estate, in my opinion, has become not that scary compared to what we had before. The only positive thing about these map reworks that I have to tell you is that the textures got updated. But other than that, in my opinion, this game is kind of a mess right now, and some of you will like it, but personally I'm not too sure how to feel about it. Leave your comment down below, I love to read my comments. Also, subscribe if you haven't subscribed for more Dead by Daylight videos. I will see you later. Ciao.